As I said, we learned this new word in our vocabulary called the AIG effect when AIG canceled an incentive meeting. And it was a meeting just after the bailouts. It was an incentive meeting they canceled. It was this whole separate division of AIG that had nothing to do with this other division. They canceled this incentive meeting for their top producing independent insurance agents. The idea is to get them together to teach them to sell more AIG products and how to sell the products. Had nothing to do with that. When you heard the media jump all over the government, you'd swear that these boys and girls got a big check and just said, let's go party, let's get massages, let's play golf in Las Vegas. And that was quickly followed by Wells Fargo canceling a meeting. Morgan Stanley pulled a meeting out of Las Vegas, paid Steve Wynn $600,000 cancellation fee, and booked the same meeting 3 weeks later for $800,000 in San Francisco just because they didn't want the optics. And then finally, Northern Trust had the audacity after January to have a fundraiser and invite their big investment banking partners and all that to come to a meeting to raise money for charity. And they hired Sheryl Crow to sing, and that was the end of it. And the media jumped all over it. We saw an industry that we all learned to love, vilified and sensationalized by the media. And it went way beyond TARP. It's targeted the TARP companies, but it went way beyond. We saw Home Depot canceling meetings, and they had nothing to do with TARP. We saw it went way beyond the first person right to a microphone, as all the politicians couldn't get to the microphone fast enough to vilify those who go to meetings and incentives. The congresswoman from West Virginia was the first one, and she said, I am going to introduce legislation this week, and it's going to put an end to resort meetings. No one should be able to go to a resort meeting. Well, I called their office, and I said, you tell the good congresswoman that the place called the Greenbrier is 15 minutes from her home. And they're going to lay off 600 people this next Monday, and they're probably going to go bankrupt, which they did. She called me back and said, I didn't mean the Greenbrier. I meant those resorts in Florida, Georgia, Arizona, California. So those resorts, of course. Then someone from North Carolina, from Raleigh or Charlotte, sent me a video clip of an ABC on your side, and there's this news guy standing in front of me. So I'm standing here in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm standing in front of the luxurious 200-room Hilton Hotel, which has a swimming pool and a lounge. Then he walked over to point out the state transportation department cars in the parking lot. He said, why, we're struggling with the budget, they're partying. He forgot to mention that the purpose of their meeting was to get together and figure out how they could pull 10 to 20% out of their budget and still deliver the services. You forgot to mention they negotiated a $69 rate. You forgot to mention that they negotiated to bring their own hors d'oeuvres and Tupperware containers to save cost. But they're vilifying the industry. And the challenge we face, the big challenge that we face, is you look at this industry, and I look at all of so many good friends in this industry, we're sort of like the drama club in high school. We put on good shows, people like us, we're entertaining, we're just good folks. And while we still want to stay and put on those great presentations and those great shows, we've got to be more like the football team. We've got to right here in Athens. We've got to be like the people in the stadium on Saturday. We've got to be that aggressive. And so we had to make a hard decision. So as these congressmen and senators, and the president was out vilifying meetings, we said, we've got to do something. This was a difficult decision. We said we're going to take the gloves off. We took the gloves off, we ran this ad. If you take a look at this ad, this is an ad that we ran all around Washington, USA Today, New York Times, etc. And it said, you want to lose another million jobs? Just keep talking. Well, we're having our CEO roundtable come together about a couple of weeks later, and I called them to the White House and asked if someone would come speak. And they said, yeah, we'll send Ron Emanuel over to speak to your CEOs. And then they said, no, why don't you come over to the White House? And here we ended up meeting, as you see, with the President of the United States. The people around the table there, you see Bill Marriott, you see Jim Abrahamson from Intercontinental, the head of Disney, John Tisch, Steve Merritt, and all this. But these are folks with multi-billion-dollar companies. And we ended up meeting with the president for over a half hour. I've been in this business 40 years. It's the first time a sitting president has sat to discuss this industry and what it means, and it showed you how far we've got to go.